Hey, Wranglers, how you doing? First of all, I want to thank and congratulate Nick Falzone for correctly identifying the mime in my last video. I had a girl that was in mime makeup, and that girl was Christina Ricci. She is she was the one that in the makeup, and he identified her. Nobody else had done that. So Nick Falzone gets a huge shout out from the Neon Wrangler. Good job, Boyle. Anyway, let's talk about what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about fear, why we fear, and why we like to be afraid at times. First of all, one of the things I want to bring up is we talked about the clowns before, and check out my clown video if you want to. Another things that makes clowns and some other things scary is what they call the uncanny valley. The uncanny valley was a term coined by a Japanese scientist that described basically something that looks human but just isn't quite human. Like these robots they make that are supposed to be human, they just don't look quite right. They look human, but something's wrong. Or a doll or a puppet or something that looks human, but just isn't quite there. It's called the uncanny valley. Sometimes we see that in CGI, and that's disturbing to us. That's kind of freaky to us. It doesn't really terrify us running the other direction, but it does bother us when we see that. It doesn't quite, there's an incongruency there that just kind of doesn't, we don't like or we don't respond well to. That's the uncanny valley. Clowns are guilty of partially of the uncanny valley. They look human. We know they're human, but they look slightly different at times. That could be part of why we're afraid of them too. Another thing that scares us, that mental reaction is something that we've all experienced. Is like you're looking out in the dark woods and you think you see a face, or you're looking at a design somewhere on a wall or whatever, and you think you see his face or a shape or a you know whatever. It could be like a devil face or something like that, something scary. Um, you're making a pattern out of that, and your mind recognizes that pattern, whether it's out in the woods or at home or whatever. We start making faces out of these things, or not just faces, but we start constructing objects out of what we're looking at. That's called pareidolia, and we needed that to survive back 1,000 years ago or 35,000 years ago out on the savannah or whatever. You had to be super hyper vigilant because an animal could get you, an enemy could get you, any of that, where you're sitting there in your wilderness area trying to survive. It's better if you're alerted to something and it's not there than to not be alerted to something that is there. So pareidolia kind of stepped in and helps us out with that. So you could be looking out there and think you see a big wolf or something, and maybe it's not out there, but everybody's ready. You're ready to face the threat. Fight or flight is kicking in, and that's a very useful survival skill for those that have it. Now we're going to talk about fight or flight. People, a friend of mine asked me, you know, when we talk about scary things or whatever, I've had several people ask this, why do you like watching horror movies? Why do you like, why do you like that stuff? What's wrong with the people who write it? And what's wrong with the people who want to watch it? There's something wrong with them in the head. No, there's nothing wrong with them. It's completely natural. We don't get to use our fight or flight mechanism in today's society at all. We are, our fears are existential. The stock market, our paying our bills, repairing the car. All of these things are our stressors. They're not fight or flight things. It's just kind of like we've been tampered down to some of the basic instincts that helps us survive have had water thrown on them. Like if it was a campfire, they're kind of extinguished. So sometimes it feels good to experience them again. The fight or flight, the fear. Fear is what we're talking about. It's fun to be afraid when you know you're safe. You can watch a horror movie at your house and you can really enjoy it, even if it's gory or scary or whatever. It might keep you up at night, but fundamentally, you know you're safe. You know that the monster for the xenomorph is not really going to get you. You know that the whatever scares you. Now, I don't like the torture movies. I don't like the gore movies that are just humans being crappy to each other. I hate those kind of movies. That does hit too real home because people are doing that and we don't want to be part of that. Some people enjoy that kind of stuff. I don't. That's a little disturbing, but it's the same mechanism that kicks in, is you can vicariously watch that and feel safe, but still have some of that experience that your body, I don't know if we actually need it or not, but it feels like we do. It's the same thing with action movies or whatever. When we watch movies about gods and monsters, the Avengers, Batman, or whatever, we get to have our fight or flight mechanism kick in. Usually it's fighting, Thor's smashing Thanos or Batman's beating up the Joker or whatever the hell it is. We are Batman as we're watching this, and we are beating the Joker. We're throwing the hammer. We're doing all the things that we see that the hero doing. We're James Bond. We're sneaking around. That's the flight thing, is we got to do our mission, but we're afraid. We're spies. We have a big secret. Those kind of things are kicking in. So part of the reason these entertainments work is because we get to kind of fire up those old instincts again. Once again, those basic instincts that kept us alive, they get to be fired up, and that includes fear. So that's the what I think is fundamental about so much of this stuff, whether it's horror movies or action movies. It's still awakening similar things in us that that help us to enjoy it. But anyway, that was a little discussion on fear today, a little bit more explanation on why we're afraid. So check out the clown video if you can. I think I'll put it in here when I get a chance. And congratulations once again to Nick Falzone for correctly identifying the beautiful Christina Ricci as the mime that I showed earlier, and I'll have that up there it'll be in that video that I'll link on here. But anyway, Wranglers, stay safe, be good, and if you can, scare yourself a little bit. It's that time of year. Halloween just sets off the creepy time of year. That creepy time of year flows all the way through to spring. I mean, almost to spring. Remember, we have the ghosts that visited Scrooge and all that kind of thing, and there's still Poe talking about late December as embers are on the floor in that poem of the Raven. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe. Be careful. I'll talk to you later. See you at the next roundup.